back the night marches. When did we first know we were becoming seriously involved? Maybe it was the spring weekend when Ken used some pretext to talk his mother into letting him borrow her car to drive us to New York. We spent 2 days exploring Manhattan and 2 nights sharing a single room in Hotel Edison. Maybe we knew even earlier than that, the night Ken walked me back to the dorm after studying for mid-semester exams. That morning, one of the spring storms that every once in a while blow inland from Lake Erie had covered the campus with a foot of snow and caused the temperature to plummet. The sidewalks were icy and treacherous, and suddenly my feet flew out from under me. I landed in a huge drift, my books and papers scattering all around. Ken immediately slipped, too, and crashed down on top of me. We filled the icy night air with peals of laughter for no reason beyond the sheer enjoyment of the moment. Only the bulky limestone buildings keeping us company, their sharp angles softened by the whiteness. So many snowfalls since then, in so many different settings. Part 1. Leaving the Fields and Trees. Chapter 1. Julie. Spring 2002. Optimistic tulips push their way up through the last grimy traces of winter. Some 43 years after our first meeting, Ken and I were living deep in rural Ontario. Overall, I prefer city life to the country. Previous stops in our nomadic life together had included stays in New York, London, Los Angeles, Cleveland, Montreal, and Toronto. But I've never regretted those years in the country. 8 of them in a back-road log cabin halfway between the big cities of Montreal and Ottawa. Then 6 years in a modern bungalow with a distant view of Lake Erie outside the kitchen window. In both places, our involvement with local politics had led to some warm friendships, and some not so warm, but always interesting. Living in relative isolation had made us self-dependent and cognizant of ourselves as a very small part, of the natural world. The nearby fields and woodlots, each with its own shape and microclimate, had become a familiar landscape in our shared world. But, a big but, lately my mind was turning more and more toward Toronto. I could tell that even Ken, who always claimed to be a country boy at heart, despite a childhood spent in Cleveland Heights, Ohio, was starting to feel the pull of city life. We needed more people around us. It was as simple as that. I would miss the fields and trees, but as we pulled up stakes and pointed the car eastward, I knew we were saying goodbye to the country for good. By early summer, we were resettled in Toronto's Little Italy, with its crowded sidewalks, bicycles, outdoor cafes, and people galore. It was wonderful to be closer to our grandchildren and within a short walk of bookstores, museums, and even one of the few remaining neighborhood movie theaters. However, during one of our first expeditions out to see a play at Harborfront, Ken became panicky. "We'll have to leave at the intermission," he whispered in the dark theater. "There's no chance of getting a taxi, and we shouldn't be walking around down here at this late hour." Could he be serious? In danger at Queen's Quay? That was ridiculous. When I pointed out that the theater was located on the top floor of a busy restaurant shopping concourse and that after the final act we were sure to find a whole fleet of cabs hungry for fares, he relented. But this was a guy who used to walk home through Brooklyn's dark, deserted streets in the early morning hours without a second thought. What on earth was going on? During the last few years in the country, there had been hints of trouble. A sudden dislike of crowds, problems communicating over the phone, bouts of irritability that came and went like the weather. We blamed it all on aging, on the children living at that